Show us your faithfulness. Show us your trustworthiness. Show us your honesty. Prove us wrong. We desperately need you to prove us wrong. God, help us all. If you fail to prove us wrong, God, help us.
One trillion species, 7.8 billion humans, 1.9 million species extinct, one planet. Where are we heading? What should we do?
Watch Climate Tracker, only on WION. World is One.
From the world's most volatile region, conflicts over faith and boundaries. Stories of death, destruction, despair, and hope. WION brings you to the heart of the action. Incisive analysis, unrivaled perspective, and exclusive ground reports. Watch West Asia Post every Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook.
There are many other
Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from New York. I'm Susan Tehrani, and these are the top headlines this hour. Iran says that officials from the UN nuclear watchdog would visit the country in the coming days with the aim of resolving, quote, ambiguities over claims of secret activities. UK Prime Minister Sunak expressed sorrow over the death of migrants after a small boat carrying around 40 migrants sinks off the southeastern coast of England in freezing temperatures, killing at least 3. The Kremlin says it has not received any proposals from Kyiv to halt fighting in Ukraine during the upcoming holiday period, and a ceasefire was not on Moscow's agenda. Meanwhile, Russian Defense Ministry said that its Tu-95 strategic bombers carried out a 7-hour patrol flight over the Sea of Japan. And half-centuries from Shreyas Iyar and Cheteshwar, Pujara takes India to 278 for 6 on the opening day of the first test in Bangladesh.
Original decision is out. Check the front foot.
So the United States seems to have agreed to an urgent request from Ukraine. Official sources say Washington is now poised to send a battery of its feared Patriot missiles to the war-torn nation. This will provide Ukraine with the much-needed air defense, which its leaders have been desperately seeking for months. The much-awaited approval from Washington is likely to come later this week. Official sources say the announcement could come as soon as Thursday. Ukraine's top leadership pressed Western leaders on Monday to provide more advanced weapons to help their country in its war with Russia. The Patriot would be the most advanced surface-to-air missile system that the West has provided to Ukraine to help repel Russian aerial attacks.
Right now, again, I don't have anything to announce, but we're going to continue to adapt. We're going to continue to stay flexible, and we're going to continue to work with Ukraine to ensure they're getting what they need.
Officials say the U.S. plans to send 1 Patriot battery. A truck-mounted Patriot battery includes up to 8 launchers. Each of these can hold 4 missiles. The U.S. Army says the system includes a phased array radar, a control station, and several computers and generators. It typically requires about 90 soldiers to operate and maintain. However, only 3 soldiers are needed to actually fire it. White House officials have consistently voiced their concern for Ukraine. They have also agreed that providing Ukraine with additional air defense is a priority, and Patriot missiles have been under consideration for quite some time now. The winter continues to take a toll on the Ukrainian population, and an escalation in Russia's reported bombardment on crucial civilian utilities prompted U.S. officials to consider sending advanced air defense systems on priority.
As a matter of policy, we're not going to preview or discuss potential or speculate on any security assistance prior to any type of announcement. So or discuss whether or not it may or may not be under consideration.
U.S. officials have so far been hesitant in providing such advanced air defenses to Ukraine, fearing they could be considered an escalation and may trigger a response from Moscow. Moreover, there were also concerns that operating the Patriot missiles may require significant training and hence demand the presence of U.S. troops to operate it. President Joe Biden has flatly rejected sending any U.S. combat troops to Ukraine. Here in the United States, delegations from 49 countries and the African Union, including 45 African national leaders, are attending a 3-day U.S.-African Leaders Summit in Washington, as the United States warns that China and Russia are destabilizing Africa with their growing advances. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says China is expanding its footprint in Africa on a daily basis through its growing economic influence. He also accused Russia of continuing to peddle cheap weapons while deploying mercenaries across the continent.
We're witnessing the PRC expand its footprint on the continent on a daily basis. And as they do that, they're also expanding their economic influence. A troubling piece there is that they're not always transparent in terms of what they're doing, and that creates problems that will be eventually destabilizing if they're not already. And so the combination of those activities by those two new countries, I think that bears watching. And certainly, I think their influence, again, can be destabilizing.
The U.S. president plans to unveil $55 billion for Africa over 3 years. In one of the first announcements, the White House said that the United States would invest $4 billion by 2025 fiscal year to train African health workers.
We're looking at making genuine investments because, again, a response to the immediate is necessary, but it is insufficient and it's not a long-term solution. We're dealing now with a massive food insecurity crisis. It's the product of a lot of things, as we all know. It's the product of climate change. It's the product of COVID. It's a product, unfortunately, of conflict, including Russia's aggression against Ukraine.
Over the years, successive U.S. presidents have pursued signature initiatives for Africa. President George W. Bush launched a major push to fight HIV/AIDS, which became among his top legacies. Former President Barack Obama spearheading a drive to boost electricity, which, according to U.S. officials, has brought power for the first time to 165 million people. U.S. President Joe Biden expressed cautious optimism about the American economy. This comes after fresh government data shows inflation easing.
In a world where inflation is rising at double digits in many major economies around the world, inflation is coming down in America. In fact, this new report is the 5th month in a row where annual inflation has fallen in the United States. Make no mistake, prices are still too high. We have a lot more work to do, but things are getting better, headed in the right direction. Most Americans can see the progress driving down the street, finding relief at the pump as gas prices fall.
Meanwhile, U.S. Fed is expected to slow the pace of rate hikes as inflation eases. The Federal Reserve has embarked on an all-out campaign to cool demands in the world's biggest economy. It has raised rates 6 times this year. There have been positive signs as well, with consumer inflation in the United States easing in number. Households have been squeezed by red-hot prices. The conditions are also worsening by rising food and energy costs after Russia's invasion of Ukraine and a fallout from China's zero-COVID measures. Well, it was a monumental day for the LGBTQ community in the United States after getting a clearance from both the House's U.S. President Joe Biden has signed the same-sex marriage protection bill. The new law officially voids the Defense of Marriage Act. This is the same law that defines marriage as only between a man and a woman. The new marriage protection law obligates states to honor the validity of same-sex and interracial unions. The White House was lit up in the colors of the pride flag. As the president signed the bill, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Vice President Kamala Harris, and a few other officials cheered on.
Marriage is a simple proposition. Who do you love? And will you be loyal to that person you love? It's not more complicated than that. And the law recognizes that everyone should have the right to answer those questions for themselves without the government interference.
After getting through the Senate, the House voted 258 to 169, with 39 Republicans joining the motion brought in by the blue side. It was also a special day for the Senate Majority Leader. The lawmaker's daughter and her wife are expecting a child soon.
After a lot of hard work today, the long but inexorable march towards greater equality takes an important step forward. By enacting this law, we are sending a message to LGBTQ Americans everywhere. You too deserve dignity. You too deserve equality. That's about as an American ideal as they come.
Celebrations took over the White House lawn. U.S. singer Cyndi Lauper and British singer Sam Smith performed in front of thousands. Some believe same-sex relationships have been a contested topic across the United States. Opinions in public and lawmakers have been shifting over the years. Data shows that 68% of Americans supported same-sex marriage in 2021. This is up 14 percentage points from 2014. According to Democrats, there is a reason behind the House rallying the same-sex bill. The lawmakers were concerned after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. So the sudden scrapping by the conservative heavy bench had sparked fears that the marriage rights could be the next target.
We got it!
A fresh bid to ban TikTok in the United States has been launched by U.S. lawmakers. Republican Senator Marco Rubio announced the bipartisan legislation amid concerns that the app could be spying on U.S. citizens. The proposed legislation aims to block all transactions from any social media company in or under the influence of China and Russia. A companion bill in the U.S. House of Representatives was sponsored by Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher and Democrat Raja Krishna Murthy. The bill comes amid growing scrutiny of TikTok in Washington. Last month, FBI directors said that TikTok's U.S. operations raise national security concerns. His statement flagged the risk that the Chinese government could use it to influence users or control their devices. Meanwhile, Alabama and Utah joined other U.S. states in prohibiting the use of TikTok on state government devices, citing national security concerns. Other U.S. states have banned TikTok on state devices, including Texas, Maryland, and South Dakota. The state of Indiana has also sued the app, alleging that it is deceiving users about China's access to their data and is exposing children to mature content. In 2020, then U.S. President Donald Trump attempted to block new users from downloading TikTok. His administration also banned other transactions from the company, which would have effectively blocked the app's use in the United States. The administration, however, lost a series of court battles over the measure, which ultimately failed to materialize. But it's not only the United States that is concerned about TikTok. The short video sharing app has been also blocked and restricted in some regards by countries like India, Russia, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. The number of journalists imprisoned around the world hits a new record of 533 in 2022. According to Reporters Without Borders, or RSF, a total of 57 journalists are killed during the year, due in part to the war in Ukraine. Iran's crackdown on protests contributed to the number reaching a record high. The France-based NGO says that the figure is up from 488 in 2021. More than half are detained in just 5 countries. China remains the world's biggest jailer of journalists with 110, followed by Myanmar, Iran, Vietnam, and Belarus. According to the Secretary General of RSF, the dictatorial and authoritarian regimes are filling their prisons faster than ever by jailing journalists. According to RSF, Iran is the only country that was not part of the list last year. The report published by the NGO says Iran has locked up an unprecedented 34 media professionals since protests broke out in September over the death of the in-custody of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. The report also reflects that an all-time rise in the number of women journalists in prison, raising from 60 to 78 since 2021. Members of Kenya's Maasai community are known for maintaining their cultural and tradition. That's why the, quote, Maasai Olympics came as a surprise to the world and tourists alike. The event is meant to encourage the traditional warriors to swap their spears for javelins and help the morons learn more about animals. Here's a report.
In Kimana, Kajiado County, a big fete is about to start. And no, this is not the annual Grandois circumcision ceremony synonymous with the Maasai community. It's actually celebratory sounds before the whistle is blown to kickstart a game-changing sports event. For generations, Maasai warriors had to kill a lion as part of the Olamayo rite to prove their skills, identify their leaders and attract girlfriends. But as the number of lions in Kenya plummeted from about 30,000 in the 1970s to just over 2,000 now, the community leaders and conservation group Big Life Foundation created the Maasai Olympics to replace hunting with sports. It includes participating in athletics, javelin and Maasai jump competitions during the community event.
And Morana have been killing lions in so many activities to show their bravery or retaliation. I can say after maybe the lion killed their animal or their herd, so forth. But we are here today to tell them that this ecosystem, this wildlife is very important.
Today, 10 years later, we've gone from 12, 15, 20, we don't even know, they were all hiding, to over 250 lions in the same area because they have, in fact, the Maasai quit killing them in return for compensation and this athletics competition.
The Maasai Olympics spurred solutions to human and wildlife conflict in the Amboseli ecosystem. Mingati Samanya, a 69-year-old Maasai elder, says that hunting lions did not benefit them in any way.
Even if elephants or lions kill cattle, it is prohibited to kill wild animals. We consult and compensate for the lost cattle.
Draped in colorful costumes and sporting beads, dozens of athletes took part in the 5th edition of the biannual event. The competition in Kimana Reserve near Mount Kilimanjaro drew some 160 participants, including 40 women, and is credited with playing a stellar role in lion conservation.
Today is my first day participating in the sport and I have won, so I am very happy. Nowadays, the way I have won, we can no longer kill wild animals, so we guard them.
The winners of the various events do not receive medals but are rewarded with cattle, scholarships or money.
These Maasai Olympics have really changed the Maasai girls and Maasai morons because in the past, the men used to go to the forest to kill wild animals in order to get heroic names. These Maasai Olympics have brought change because the more they run, they get money and they know Big Life Foundation has brought the change.
Poaching and unprecedented drought have threatened the lion population in Kenya. Following several failed rainy seasons, the land in the Kimana Reserve is scorched due to the worst drought in 40 years. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
Puss in Boots returns to the big screen after an 11-year hiatus with lessons about valuing life. Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek hit the red carpet in New York to celebrate the film's release. More about this in our next report.
I am Puss in Boots. Holy frijoles. Hey, Giant! You want to see something cool?
On one side, he's mischievous, he is arrogant, full of himself, manipulative. Both sides are a way of manipulate people. But then on the other hand, he's very loyal. He believes in friendship. He's funny. But everything changed in this last movie. In this last movie, he finds out that out of his 9 lives, only he got 1 left. And so he starts changing completely. He becomes, in a way, he becomes human.
What's up, Puss in Boots?
He is me!
Oh!
Normally, I have a sword. He's like a whole thing.
It's funny because the idea, the premise is that Puss in Boots is on the last of his 9 lives. And I love that as a director because I was like, that is so absurd. That's such a fairy tale, right? But then when you boil it down, Puss in Boots has 1 life, and as human beings, we all only get 1 life. And that's what this message of this movie is about. Oh, I have got to learn how to do that.
Lives flashing before your eyes.
Pray for mercy from Puss in Boots. Espresso.
That's all the time we have for this news desk. Live from New York, I'm Susan Tehrani. Thank you so much for staying with us and watching. Stay tuned for more news and updates coming up on WION World is One.
And many other officials, right? Arab?
WION.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at WION.com.
It's code red for humanity. The alarm bells are deafening. Wildfires, floods, and hurricanes. Extreme climate events warn of impending doom. Is the world heading towards a climate catastrophe? Watch WION's Climate Tracker weekdays at 12 p.m. GMT, 5:30 p.m. IST.
You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back the forest that once grew where there is now a desert.
You have ignored us in the past and you will ignore us again. We have run out of excuses and we are running out of time.
Show us your faithfulness. Show us your trustworthiness. Show us your honesty. Prove us wrong. We desperately need you to prove us wrong. God help us all if you fail to prove us wrong. God help us.
$1 trillion species. 7.8 billion humans. 1.9 million species extinct. 1 planet. Where are we heading? What should we do? Watch Climate Tracker only on WION. World is One.
From the world's most volatile region, conflicts over faith and boundaries. Stories of death, destruction, despair, and hope. WION brings you to the heart of the action. Incisive analysis, unrivaled perspective, and exclusive ground reports. Watch West Asia Post every Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST with me, Radi Francis. Only on WION, World is One.
Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views, and analysis. WIONews.com. World is One.
So thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and this special edition of the broadcast over the course of the next 30 minutes will bring you up to speed with everything that's happening around the world. The forces of the United States of Korea launch a new Space Forces unit as the United States and Korea increase their efforts to better counter the threat posed by North. Korea is evolving nuclear and missile threats, and the US Space Force Korea is the second overseas space component of the Space Force and has been tasked with monitoring, detecting and also tracking incoming missiles, as well as bolstering the military's overall space capability.
The U.S. military is faster, better connected.
And a major winter storm hit the United States, delivering blizzard-like conditions to the Great Plains just a few hours after tornadoes touched down in parts of Texas, Oklahoma and also in Louisiana, where a child reportedly was killed and his mother at this point of time remains missing. According to the National Weather Service, 5 tornadoes were confirmed in Texas and potentially a dozen may have actually occurred. The young one was found dead in a wooden area of the Pekin farm where his home was destroyed after it was hit by the tornado. Search efforts are presently on for the child's mother. And a group of migrants has been kidnapped in Mexico as they were making their way to the United States. Hundreds of migrants have been crossing the Rio Grande River from Mexico in the state of El Paso. Most of the kidnapped are Nicaraguans who have been leaving their homeland in search of better opportunities in the United States. The mass kidnapping in the northern state of Durango is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by the migrants as they travel across Mexico. The crisis crossing areas is rife with drug violence and also the poor rule of law. And clashes erupted between the police and the protesters in the capital city of Lima after the supporters of the ousted Peruvian president Pedro Castillo took to the streets, while some others took to the streets to celebrate the ex-leader's impeachment trial. Dozens were seen waving Peruvian flags and also cheering for Castillo's downfall On the other hand, the riot police resorted to firing tear gas to clear a Castillo support march. Rescue helicopter arrived at the scene of an accident where a small boat carrying migrants sunk off the southeastern coast of England, killing some of those who were on board. Britain's government and emergency officials have confirmed that an incident was in fact ongoing, with lifeboats, helicopters and rescue teams working with the French and the British navies to try and respond to the accident. Some fatalities have been reported, but authorities have not yet confirmed the number of deaths. Small boats, often inflatable dinghies, travel regularly across the channel carrying migrants from France to Britain. And inflation in the United Kingdom has fallen sharply to about 10.7% for the month of November from the October's 41-year high of 11.1%, according to the official consumer prices data. It offers some comfort to the Bank of England, which is preparing to raise the interest rates again. The Bank of England has been battling inflation that is far above its 2% target and has been raising the rates sharply over the past 12 months. The United States and also the Eurozone inflation has also dropped more steeply than expected last month, raising hope that the current wave of inflation may have actually peaked. And Kosovo's Prime Minister has signed an agreement to join the European Union, a process that is expected to take years, if not decades, and is dependent on its normalizing relations with Serbia. The EU is already working on a deal that it hopes that both parties will agree to within a year. The Kosovo's Prime Minister has remarked that this is, of course, a historic moment for our country. Kosovo is not a member of the United Nations, and the 5 EU states, Spain, Greece, Romania, Slovakia and Cyprus, have refused to recognize Kosovo's statehood. And Kiev's residents caught off guard after the Russian drone attack, but that has not deterred their stance. In the Russian-Ukraine war, a drone attack smashed a hole in the central Kiev region, where the city officials have said that air defenses prevented some serious damage. Ukrainian Air Force's spokesperson has said that the attack was deliberately timed for when it was dark to make it harder to shoot the drones down. But that Ukrainian air defense system had been effective, and Russia has been launching several waves of missiles and drone attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure since the month of October. The joint Russian and the Belarusian military training exercises begin in Belarus. According to the video that's been put out by the Russian Defense Ministry, the footage shows tank crews navigating some unidentified Belarusian woodland, as well as engineers training in temporary bridge deployment and sappers undertaking some pretty explosive exercises. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement that coordination exercises are being conducted day and night. And 2 Russian Tu-95 strategic bombers could of course be seen as carrying out a 7-hour patrol flight over the Sea of Japan, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. The bombers, capable of carrying nuclear bombs and nuclear-armed cruise missiles, were accompanied by the Russian Su-class fighter jets. Despite being engaged in the war in Ukraine, Russia has continued to conduct some regular strategic bomber flights as a show of strength to its neighbors in the Far East. And also in the latest, as part of a government's policy of easing out antivirus measures, China's National Health Commission has scaled down its daily COVID-19 report in response to the rapid decline in the PCR testing. The only members that they are reporting now are the confirmed cases detected in public testing facilities, and China has recently ended many of its draconian measures. in terms of COVID-19 response following 3 years of repeated lockdowns, mass testing and also travel restrictions. The structure capping of the landmark Twin Hills at the Expo Culture Park in the Purong new area of China has been completed. It will be China's first artificial mountains rising above 40 meters. The hills will have 9 peaks and 3 streams and multiple waterfalls to simulate a natural mountain forest. The Twin Hills will be used for the purpose of parking, cultural and artistic exhibition, power distribution, station construction in addition to sightseeing and leisure. Twin Hill will be open to the public for free in the year 2024.